Ahoy, library middies! This is Melissa from the Montgomery County Public Library, and I have another project that's part of week 5 of summer reading, Pirate Week. So we've got all kinds of really cool stuff in the packet this week for the older readers, lots of cool stuff in the packets for the younger readers as well. But this week's older packet does have pirate information. It includes information about some of the most notorious pirates that ever sailed. Pirates really were a real thing, so it tells you about some of those. There's information about how to use a map. Pirates used maps and things for years, and it tells you how you can still use a map. I know GPS exists, but for hiking and things like that, maps are still really handy. There's information on some of the tools and things that pirates used, how they used things to be able to see and navigate out in the ocean when there really weren't land features or anything to look at. So all that's on there. And there's even information about pirate flags and a place where you can create your own family's pirate flag and how those got started. So there's all kinds of, there's coloring pages, all kinds of cool stuff. The other stuff is included in the packet is information and things for your craft projects. So this craft project, we are going to make a pirate map. So in your packet is a map, and if you see that map there, this is an actual copy of a map from 1606, and if you look, it's the coast of Virginia all the way down to Florida. And what's really cool, when the pirates made these maps, or in this case, whoever was navigating the ocean made this map in 1606, they put things in there, they showed regular sailing routes that people were using frequently. And then they also gave helpful hints. Here's a sea monster somewhere on the map. So whoever drew this map ran into something in that area. We don't know what it was, but they went ahead and drew a sea monster just so you would know that could be a dangerous area. We have some really cool books of old maps at the library. So if you would like to come in sometime and look at the maps, for this, we just made a copy. It's on tan paper. Doesn't show up real well on the camera here, but when you pick it up, you'll see that it's on tan paper to make it look older. Or you can print one off the internet. There's all kinds of really cool maps out there and available. In the kit, there's instructions for this project, and there's also a map on there that is Johnathan Swift's silver mine. And we'll talk about that here in a second as soon as we do our project. This project's pretty easy. Start with your map and tear the edges off so that it has raw edges. It doesn't have to be exact, doesn't have to be perfect. You can tear off a little bit, you can tear off a lot. That's totally up to you. Just tear it off so that you have a rough edge all the way around so that it's going to look like it's an old worn map. Get my edges all the way around. And this round I tore a lot off. Sometimes I don't tear much off, it just depends. So now it's old and worn because it's going to be my treasure map. If you notice this map, it has the actual Appalachian Mountains. So even in 1606, somebody had explored this area enough to be able to draw those on a map. So the Appalachians, the Ozarks, all those things are on there, which I think is really cool. There's these animals down here in what's probably Georgia. I'm guessing that's probably a turkey, and there's deer. So they must have found a lot of animals at that point. But if you want to make your map look really old, you can tear a hole in the middle of the map too. So I think that made it really cool. We don't know what happened in history that caused that, but something happened and there's a hole in the map. So now I've got 2 holes in my map because something happened in history. In your packet that you get with summer reading, there's a couple things that go with this project in your Ziploc packet. One of them is a pipe cleaner, and we'll use that in a minute. The other is a piece of a broken crayon. This is the older kids kit, so we're not too worried about choking, but when you're finished, make sure you put that in a safe location or whatever so that your younger kids don't choke on it. Now, all we're going to do is go all the way around the edges of the map with the crayon, and I'll lay it down on my surface here and do that. And the reason that we're doing that, we're just doing it in the part that we tore because that makes it look a little more old and worn. And I'll go all the way around here real quick and do it. Don't have to be exact, don't have to be perfect. You're just making those edges look a little more worn and frayed. In fact, if you, we're the library, we have lots of books, we have older books. A lot of older ink or things that they used to write and draw with had a lot of iron in it. And because of that iron, if you find old books and old manuscripts, the edges where the iron and things were written are often look like they've been burned. And it's from all that iron, as it oxidized, it literally created holes where it was. So a lot of them look dark and burned. So there, I did the dark edges on my holes, and I went all the way around the edges. This is a pretty quick, simple activity. Make them as dark as you want. You might even make some spots on the map a little darker, so that way it looks worn and dirty and you don't know where this pirate's been with their map. So we have that part of the map. One of the things that's in your packet, if you can see, there's all these symbols. Those are actual symbols that were used in history to mark where they hid treasure. So a triangle shape is the treasure is here, is what that means. There's different symbols that are for how many steps you can take to get to a spot. So you can add those symbols to your map to help you find the treasure on your map. Just write those in with a marker or anything to make it look old. And then when you're finished, you can roll the map up and use the pipe cleaner to hold it. At home, you might cut a piece of string, use a piece of string or whatever, but there you go. So now you have a rolled map with your treasure on it. The cool thing about the symbols, like I say, they're on there. That's an activity you can do as a family. Go out and hide something and do the symbols, and you and your kids and everybody in the family can take 15 steps based on the symbol that says that to the next symbol. And that symbol says go to the big tree or whatever based on the symbol, and you go there until you see if you can find the treasure. So, one of the other things I showed you the map for Johnathan Swift's silver mine. Johnathan Swift supposedly was somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains and actually mined silver and made coins and bars with it. However, he came back every year and mined according to his journals. Those journals you can read on the internet. We've got a couple of books at the library that also has his journals in it. Here's one that we have at home because we think it's really cool. You can read his journal, and it gives indications of where they went. A lot of people believe it is eastern Kentucky. It might have been part of Virginia, West Virginia, down in North Carolina. Nobody knows for sure. It gives a good indication. He did come back and forth between Virginia and North Carolina in the winter. His journal talks about that. But nobody has ever found the silver because Johnathan Swift was an Englishman. He went back home to England after he had mined for several years. The Native Americans were in the area, and when the Native Americans attacked them or they became dangerous, they would come back to Virginia or North Carolina and stay for the winter. And sometimes they didn't bring their silver out with them. They left it somewhere hid. And his journals detail all that, where they hid it. There's symbols written in his journal that are the symbols of how far to walk, what kind of trees to look for, that kind of thing. But he went to England, and while he was there, he went blind. So when he came back to America to collect the rest of his silver, and it had been 10 years or so, and it was safer, and he thought he could get here, he never could find any of his mines again because he was blind and he was just telling other people what to look for. So all that silver's out there somewhere, supposedly. So that's a really interesting silver treasure hidden. So check out some information on the internet. Come to the library, look at a few of our books when you have a chance, when the library is open again. Read about Johnathan Swift's silver mine, and maybe you can go on a hike somewhere with your family in eastern Kentucky and find silver if you're lucky. We hope you enjoy our Pirate Week treasure map. We hope you've enjoyed summer reading in general. We look forward to seeing everybody as soon as we can in the building. We miss seeing everybody in person this year. But it's been an interesting summer reading, and we hope you enjoy our crafts and activities. Make sure you stop by and pick up your packet. If you haven't signed up for summer reading, you still can sign up and pick up this week's packet and all the previous week's packets. Thanks for joining me. Have a good Pirate Week. Thank you. Bye.